Hello, I'm Maddie Kropp, Director of Annual Giving at Wyoming Seminary.
Hi, I'm Liz Clemens-Cadle, Director of Alumni Programs at Wyoming Seminary, and welcome to our second episode of
Sem Connects
Virtually.
This week, we'll be speaking with the current Levi Sprague Fellows to get their perspective on the quarantine, virtual learning, and their senior year.
We hope you enjoy.
Thank you all so much for joining us. This is our second virtual interview, and we are so excited to talk with you all.
So first, let's introduce our four panelists who are the Levi Sprague Fellows. Today with us, we have Barry Lefkowitz, Emily Urbanski, Javon Lane, and Jillian Gumbs. Thank you guys again for joining us.
Yes, we're excited to talk to you. So let's get started. How are all of you doing? I think the last time we were all together as a SEM community was right before spring break, and then we had to adjust to virtual learning and being back home. So how's that been so far for you all?
Honestly, it was hard at first because I think everyone, especially after 2 weeks of spring break, was excited to get back and see everyone and kind of just, catch up. Spring term is the best. But yeah, it was definitely hard at first, and I think Zoom is getting better than it was. I think that it was definitely an adjustment, but I mean, it's not the best situation, but I think SEM is obviously making it the best that they could, so.
Yeah, I also agree. At first, it was pretty difficult. I was kind of just like, oh my gosh, I can't go outside. Like, I can't really go to the grocery store. And also, especially because you can't go back to school, interact, have that physical interaction with your peers and also your teachers. But overall, I think that SEM is doing a great job, as well as the teachers, to reach out to students. And they're really doing their best to conference. They're also doing their best to make sure that you understand the topics at hand. So I think overall, despite the circumstances that we're under today and in the world, we're still making the best out of the situation.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I agree with what Barry and Javon said. It was definitely rough adjusting at first, and we all kind of had expectations for the spring term. But I think now, a few weeks into it, we're all kind of getting in the groove of things and kind of making it work with what we have and the situation at hand.
Yeah, I feel the same. It was definitely a hard adjustment in the first few weeks, especially recently with the announcement that school is going to be canceled. But now I feel like we're all kind of getting into this new normal. So it's definitely been easier with the support of our teachers and everything, making the adjustment so smoothly, at least for me. That was really helpful with all this.
That's great to hear. Like you said, it's challenging, but I think the faculty is trying to do everything they can to make this as normal as possible. Can you guys, and you don't all have to, maybe just one of you, can you give us a little insight into what your days look like as far as the virtual learning? I think people are curious as to how you guys are, how's your day structured? Is homework still, pretty demanding? If someone could just give us some insight on that, or all of you, if you'd like to chime in.
I feel like it really just depends on the class and your teacher. So every day it's not really the same. Some days I'll feel like I have basically all of my Zoom classes, or I'll have days like today where I don't really have a lot of classes, but I will have a lot of classwork that I have to do for either tomorrow or sometime early next week. So it's not really the same every single day, but there's definitely still a lot of work that we have to do. I still do homework basically every single day. And I really just have to make sure I'm keeping myself on a schedule so that I don't really fall off or anything. But it's been pretty good so far, I'd say.
I also agree with what Jillian is saying. Yes, it does depend on the teacher and what the requirements are for the course. So I have around, on average, about 3 classes per day or 2 classes per day. But, there's still amount of homework that we would get at school, and it is still demanding, but still manageable. And as long as you plan out your time properly, I have a calendar, I have to write down, what I'm gonna do it's different from being in a classroom setting where you have the teacher, physically saying, hey, this is due tomorrow, make sure you hand in this at that particular time. But now you really have to buckle down and be responsible. Not that you weren't responsible before, but, have that accountability.
So obviously, oh, go ahead, Liz.
My dog just barked. I'm really sorry. No, my dog barked. Did anyone hear that?
No.
Okay, good. Sorry. No, you go ahead, Maddie.
So obviously no one could have predicted going into spring break what the outcome would have been and that we wouldn't be returning to campus for the spring term. How are you staying in touch with your classmates and your friends? What are you all doing to make sure that you are in contact with them and you are still keeping those connections and you're trying to make the best of the situation you're in?
Well, I know that like honestly, Zoom classes make it really helpful because like I think a lot of people that I usually talk to at school, but not as much like outside of school, I could still kind of see them like on a day-ish to day like schedule. But my friends that I like usually see all the time will set up like FaceTime calls, or there's this really cool thing called Netflix Party where you could like send a link to your friends and you could watch a movie together and like text each other while the movie's going on. So that's really cool. That's what I've been doing, which is awesome.
I'll
Yeah,
say
I love
social
that.
media. Oh, sorry.
I know. I love the Netflix party. I didn't know about that.
It's
That's
so
really
cool.
cool.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
it.
Cool. Yeah, I would say that social media is a big thing. So Snapchat, also Instagram, I'm able to message people. And Zoom, although it's mainly used for classes, I'm also able to, especially people from other countries, I'm able to connect with them that way. So I think the social media platform is very helpful.
Yeah, I agree. I've been kind of using the same platforms like social media, FaceTiming people more definitely, and then also Netflix Party, just discovered that. But honestly, even Zoom sometimes, like during the day, we'll Zoom each other just because like it's convenient. You're on Zoom for classes, and then you can just kind of use that to talk to people as well.
So you guys are very involved in the school in other ways. Have you been able to maintain contact with different clubs that you're a part of? Have you been able to kind of work separately on certain projects? Or, is the main focus now the academics?
I feel like now that we're kind of like in this, I don't know, like schedule of doing things like academically, I feel like a lot of like the club leaders are starting to do more focus on that. So now that we've kind of like focused on our academics, we kind of know what we're doing at this point. I think now, at least for me, a lot of my clubs are reaching out saying, what should we do? Is there any way that we can do something virtually, whether it's like dance or like soca or something like that? We've been trying to plan things for that. So
I know like for SEMDM, obviously that was like terrible that it got canceled. Everyone was really upset about that. So the execs have just kind of been trying to like figure out a way to incorporate like the SEMDM message without actually having like SEMDM. So we've been having a few like Zoom meetings and trying to set up some like fun activities to send out to like just like the school to try and raise awareness and like some more money, just like I don't know. So I think that's nice that like we're still trying to get the point across even though we can't actually have the fun event.
I'll say another thing aside from kind of like the clubs and things is just that, for example, we have surveys that we can also answer, and that would help in getting kind of our feedback and our perspective from the whole class based on what they're facing and what obstacles they may encounter. So I think that the surveys are also a good part, as well as the clubs are also able to extend despite the difficulty with connecting with people.
Yeah, that is true. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us.
It was great to see you all.
Yeah, and just know that we're all thinking of you. You know, I can't imagine how you're feeling, especially as seniors and PGs. That's just that, you know, it's a tough way to end your high school career, but you guys seem to be really making the most of it, and we're really proud of you. And Ms. Krapp and I know that the faculty is doing everything they can to make sure that there's some sense of normalcy, and I hope you guys feel that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
You're
See you
welcome.
guys soon.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day.
It was so great to talk with them and to hear how their classes are going online. It's also very, very thrilling to hear that they are trying to keep programs that happen in the spring going in a new way and to keep the momentum going and to be SEM proud.
I agree. It was nice to hear the student perspective on the virtual learning, but also just to see what they're doing to make things as normal as possible and to stay positive. And it sounds like they're doing a really amazing job at that. And as we mentioned at the end of the interview, the faculty and staff at Wyoming Seminary is trying our best to make this a special time for them as well. Please keep an eye out on our social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram. We will be honoring the seniors in a special way starting this weekend. And we hope that you tune into our episode next week. Thank you.
Stay home and stay safe.